What is up, everybody? Liam back with our guest today, Tanner Tolbert. It is Villain Week here on the channel, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to rip a Best Ball Mania 3. Tanner, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Before we jump into the draft today, just want to say how I came to be aware of you, and then wanted to ask you some questions about your relationship with Best Ball.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear. How did you hear about me first?
Well, so I mean, I'm not a Bachelor guy. Not watch The Bachelorette. Shout out, ladies, if you're watching, subscribe. We're one away from 600, as Ron here says. Hit the like button as well. But when I first became aware of you, I think I've heard through the grapevine a while ago about The Bachelor and The Bachelorette and whatnot. But I am a best ball fiend. I won Best Ball Mania 2, taking down the $1 million and $1 first prize last year. They did the $1 to make it the biggest of all time. Thank you. And when I first became aware of you is I was jumping in the DK, the DraftKings. They have a 555 best ball option. And you're one of the few people in there with A, your name, and B, a profile picture. And I was like, who is this guy? Not a name I think I remember from years past.
I wish I made that anonymous, a long time ago, to be honest. They don't let you change that, so figured I'd just lean into it. Myself out there.
I'm dealing with that on some channels as well, but what I really became to admire is, as a fellow grinder, a couple of weeks ago or a month ago or so, you took down the PGA Millie Maker, and that's all great and well. You won $1 million, good for you. But what I really liked is while golf was finishing, so while you were finishing out the sweat to take down the Millie, no one else in the world other than probably me was aware of this. These DK high stakes, they're only doing slow drafts at the moment. It's the only thing we can get to fill, but it became your pick on I think you were like right next to me on the clock. So it became your clock. It became your pick, and you did not wait at all. While the golf was finishing, you made your pick. So fill the people in about that. Let us know what's going on.
Yeah, it was Father's Day, so I was sitting outside our TV on our patio, and I was watching, and I was feeling, I don't want to say pretty confident, but fairly confident that I was going to take it down because I had quite a few options in that top spot, and it really didn't matter if Zalatoris or Fitzpatrick won because I had both of them. So I had done all the math prior, and I was like feeling pretty good. And yeah, like 17th, 18th hole, I pretty much knew I had it wrapped up unless something crazy happened and they just quad bogeyed each of them or something like that. So I was just sitting there and I got a notification I was up. So I was like, screw it, on to the next thing. Let's start drafting. And to be honest, I'm a little bit of a OCD person. As soon as I get on the clock, it's hard for me to say no. So I'm knee deep in about 100 drafts right now. I'm in slow mode season, so yeah, just grinding both ends, man.
That's great, man. That's grinder attitude right there. So before we jump in, is this your first year playing best ball? What's your relationship with best ball? How did you get into it? How serious are you taking it? Is it like a tax write-off to you? Is it something you're grinding pretty heavy? Like, walk us through that.
Yeah, after the golf millie, to be honest, I figured I'm going to max this just to spread out some of that money over the course of a whole season, kind of slow myself down. If I'm going to lose it, I want to lose it over the course of months, not days. But to be honest, it's my first year taking best ball seriously. So last year was the first year I played ever. I didn't play underdog last year at all. I had just kind of toyed around with it on DraftKings. I think I did maybe 15 to 20 of their the cheap big tournament, and then I ended up doing 6 of the 555 last year. I did terrible in the big tournament. I only advanced a couple of them, but I was able to advance 3 of the 6 of the big tournament last year, the 555. So I advanced half my lineups to the playoff weeks, and then I got 1 to the finals in the 555 last year, and I got 5th, which was like 30 grand. So it was a good first little toe in the water, first sample size, and I was hooked after last year. So this year I'm going pretty heavy. I'm going to try to max all the tournaments on DraftKings, and I'm also going to do Best Ball Mania.
It's crucial to have early success in really many type of games, especially these high variance games. Like it gets us hooked. It's fun sweating these games for the year. if I remember correctly, I didn't make the finals in the high stakes DK last year, but wasn't there one guy with like
Yeah, he had
four of like the
4 guys.
five
Yeah,
teams or
there's only,
something?
I think, what, 11 or 12 people that made it, and 4 of the seats were all from one guy. So I actually reached out and I found like 10 of the 12 guys, and we had a little group chat that whole week, just kind of just to make it more fun. And yeah, he had I think his name was what, like Dictator Teddy, but he had 4. Yeah, he maxed it. I think he said he had 4, and I think he ended up getting like second, third, sixth, and seventh or something like that. So quality year for him and that too.
And a strategy I utilized, and I saw that you utilized it for golf, and the only way that you get 4 of the finals, and as someone that was in the BBM 2 finals, I can tell you there were several people, shockingly, who had like 3 teams in the finals out
Yeah,
of 155,000 people, right? Like, so how does that happen? The only way it happens is if you have really heavy exposure to a
right.
tight group of players, and those players do well. Like, you you not only got first in golf, but I think you also got like a bunch of other top 10 finishes because
Yeah,
you had a narrow player pool.
and that's how I attack DFS every single week. I don't really view my success daily or weekly. I view it over the course of a year. So I'm okay. I plan to be wrong when I enter any contest 90% of the time. I expect that. But when I'm right, I'm going to have a damn good chance of
You
taking
want to
some.
be big, right?
Right.
Right. And
So
I've been a proponent of that for best ball. I got a lot of pushback last year because I mean I had 60% Gabriel Davis on underdog.
nice.
Um, probably higher elsewhere. Now he didn't even really necessarily help me advance. He helped me make a lot of teams to the semifinals because he had a great week 15. But what I've been saying is it's okay to have a narrow player pool, especially later in the draft, because like we shouldn't expect that these markets are infallible.
Right.
B, we're going to lose almost every year, right?
Right.
Like even this year, looking at the large field GPPs for BBM3, first prize is 2 million, 10th place out of 455,000 people is 20 grand, which is
Right.
nice, but that's 1%, right?
Right.
It's not changing your life necessarily. So if we're going to be right, be big right?
Right.
Like really lean into the variance. So
Yeah,
before
that's
we
the
jump to the
mentality.
draft, what are you
Yeah.
doing differently this year? How are you like? Are you knee deep in Twitter reading people? Are you just doing this on the fly, building your processes?
Yeah,
Are you?
a little bit on the fly. Yeah, so this is the first year I've followed any best ball content. Like last year, I didn't know what I was doing, and I honestly just kind of took my normal redrafts kind of mentality, players I liked, and just ended up picking some guys that I liked along the way. And some hit, some didn't. This year, I'm trying to learn like the actual analytics behind it and figure out. All right, for this size tournament, I need to be leaning more of this strategy, and maybe for this size tournament, it's a little more okay to take this strategy and roster construction and things like that. So
Well, I think you stumbled upon a good channel to help you with that. I don't exactly want to educate my competition. The
yeah,
player pool is pretty narrow for the DK high stakes, but
right.
screw it, man. We're learning here together. How are you? Like, are you attacking the DK 555 where it's more, like it's like 2K max entries. It's, the final is only like 10 or so people. How differently are you approaching that than say BBM3?
Yeah, so a large field like BBM3, right, a super large field, I'm much more apt to go either the zero RB or hero RB strategy. Whereas on the higher stakes, that's a little easier to advance, in the 5 week, 6 week playoffs, or the 5-man and 6-man playoffs in weeks 15 and 16. I'm more okay taking the running back early or being a little stronger at the running back position because you don't need to be optimal amongst 1,000 entries or a crazy amount of people. You just need to be strong throughout the season, strong through the playoffs, and I'm a little bit more okay leaning, I guess, more of a redraft style in the high stakes. Whereas on BBM, I'm trying to get weird. I'm not drafting tight to ADP. I'm going crazy stacks. I'm trying to get handcuff running backs, that are going to give me some optimal build, and I want that ceiling wide receiver only. Plus, I'm another little tidbit like. I don't know if this is going to prove to be right or not, but on large field tournaments, I'm trying to get guys. I'm buying all the injury dips, suspension dips, because I just want to squeak through the regular season, and I want
Yeah.
my team to be as strong as possible. So the Jamison Williams, Michael Gallups, Godwin before this news,
Godwin, Hopkins.
even Kamara, things like that. I'm trying to pick up those types of players in the large field tournament at a real
Yeah,
high.
you said a lot of smart things there that I agree with. One is we want to be leaning into uncertainty for these really large field GPPs. The other thing I would say is for these small field high stakes buy-in contests, like advancing is important,
Right,
because you're not competing against that many people.
right.
Whereas I've done the math on I've put out a bunch of info on advancing on BBM3 is not a focus of mine at all. It's strictly how do I make the best team for week 17. The other things I would add is uh for like a large field contest, your finals group is going to be like it's around 500 people for BBM3. So
Mm.
maybe doing some of like the game stacks is really important. Where something like DK, where it's only 10 people, like yeah, it's nice if you're correlated, but it's
Just
really about just fucking get to the finals, and you got a good shot at winning the
yeah,
thing.
if you get to week 15 and the large, high stakes stuff, all you gotta do is beat 6 people one week, 5 the next. You don't really need to be that crazy optimal. You just got to have a solid team and survive and advance in the high stakes. Whereas I don't care about that in the large stuff. So
We got room for 5 more people, guys. If you would like to draft with us, thanks for all the comments. Thanks for people tuning in. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Helps me do this free content, bring on all these sharp people in the industry. And frankly, like you're not going to get the viewpoints of people firing in these high stakes best ball contests other than a channel like this. Tanner is officially in best ball mode. He has on the backwards hat. That is like the lunch pail of most DFS content creators. I've not gone there yet. I'm not a backwards hat guy, but give me a couple years, maybe I'll be there
yeah,
myself.
you'll get there, buddy. I saw you had Justin on yesterday. I watched that, so that was fun.
Yeah, Justin gives a very unique perspective because honestly, he like what we're doing right now. He auto drafts those. Like I mean,
Can't.
honestly, his bankroll is obviously very huge, but I could never fathom, doing that. Like
No,
I want to be drafting against that.
totally. Yeah, I can't auto draft anything.
No, no, no. All right, we pulled the 103, a very nice slot. I really like this. And you said you're trying to learn the analytics of best ball. I would even caution you that we're so new to this, and it's why I really like this. This is absurd, by the way, underdog. Like we should not be allowing people to have an infinite character limit. Like look how big his box is.
Right.
I've never seen this. I thought it was a fixed limit.
Do we recognize any of the names? I don't recognize any names in this one.
So yes, I definitely recognize 12 fluid ounces. Anyone with a red badge, we can count on probably listening to us. Do not be a streaming novice. If there's a player you like, either throw a flash, plant a false flag, hype up someone else before we're on the clock, or utilize the private chat here. But do not tell the people you want. They will take them just to
I don't want to get sniped. Sounds good. I'll wait until we're on the clock. Sounds good.
Yeah, Daniel said he's in the chat with the huge name. It's just absurd that this is allowed. Like how, like I just thought they would fix the character limits of the box. But I was gonna tell you about the analytics.
Yep.
I think a lot of past historical. Are you cool with JT here at 103, or are you wanting to go one of the wide receivers, or you want to get weird?
No, I mean, I think JT, if when he falls to a spot like this, I like taking him there.
Easy. We'll leave him in the queue and we can keep on talking. But yeah, so what I want to say is like a lot of historical fantasy football research misses that the draft landscape is totally different each year. So any research that's saying like, hey, like robust running back worked the past year or starting wide receiver, without the caveat that, look, how the draft plays out is different this year. Like in a couple different ways. So that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah, I feel good about JT there though. I mean, typically in these large field, I like going receiver early, like I said earlier. But
Yeah.
if we could start off a strong build with JT at the 3, see who comes back, I'm pretty content.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to sell the people on JT, and I'm prone to scoop value. If you're going to be doing a heavy volume of drafts, you want to be getting unique player combos, but when you can get them and you don't have to reach at ADP to make it happen, that's the nut. So getting JT at 3 here, like, look, if I was doing one single draft, is he my 101? No, but like I like him a lot. Like it's probably CMC if I had to choose only one. I think you, unlike me, are running pretty hot on top draft picks in the DK high stakes. Is that true or do you?
Yeah, I've got about a third of mine in those first few slots. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I only got like I think I literally have done, I don't know, 7 or 8, and I think half are like the 11 or the 12.
really, yeah.
Um,
I don't love that spot this year. I like the early side. I'm not really loving 10, 11, 12. I've talked to some people that do, but I prefer the middle of the draft as opposed to the end this year, just for my personal taste. But
I think it's a sharp way to do it. The first one to fill this year for the DK high stakes was pretty nice because I got a lot of players whose ADP you just can't get anymore. Like I got what would almost assuredly be the only share of 6th round ETN, and
right,
I got 6th round Gabriel Davis, and
that's
like
nice.
so I got a lot of players that you just can't get anymore.
It's interesting
But
to see the
it
ADP early on. I tried to crank out about 70 drafts that first week, just because I wanted to jump in before ADP got crazy. So it's been interesting to watch.
absolutely.
Who these early guys are you getting like very little exposure of? If they're
Derrick Henry, very, very little. Devontae Adams, I'm pretty low at this point, but I want to
I've
try
got
to get.
yeah, I've got almost zero Devontae, to be honest. And I'm a big Chiefs fan, and I'm not grabbing much Kelsey either. Even though I'm a Chiefs homer, I'm really not grabbing too much of him.
With Kelsey, it's really hard because it's like, yes, he's slowing down. He's getting older. At the same time, how hard is it to like run up the field, turn around, and get like a 10-yard when you're just such a massive person to boxing out? Like his target volume could be massive, and there's so many vacated targets. Like the Chiefs should still be good. So like Kelsey is someone I always want to like. I want to have a minimum 8%. Kelsey, like I want to match the field on him at minimum.
'Cause, yeah,
But
he could be tight end one, obviously, week 17. I just happen to like some of the Chiefs' later receivers
oh,
values.
I love like Sky Moore. I love MVS. I like Juju a lot. But I still want, but tight end, like if you're separating a tight end, it's just really hard for anyone to compete with you.
Right.
We are coming up this name, man. All right, so let's leave it up to you here. You want to grab
Yeah,
one of these wideouts or
yeah, I definitely want wideout. I'm not a big T Higgins guy this year, so I'm between Tyreek or AJ Brown. I've got a lot of both.
I got way more AJ, so how about we grab Tyreek?
Sounds good.
Tyreek, I'm a little bit more down on. I mean, he used to go in the first second, so I wasn't grabbing him here. B, like I really like Waddle as well. So he's got target competition. He's now with Tua. He's no longer with Mahomes. Like I don't have those questions about players like Debo, Mike Evans. I mean, I guess Debo a little bit with Trey Lance, but and like I wouldn't say versus New England week 17
Right. Deal.
is like a slam dunk pump the fist type of matchup, but it's Tyreek Hill. He's a freak. Like he can do it, so
Right.
yeah, but with this having JT, that's how I kind of like to build too. Is like, usually get a bunch of like wideouts and anchor him. Although a falling Leonard Fournette is pretty tempting and being done at running back.
Right. I like some running backs a little later this year, so I would go between Pittman or Mike Williams. Personally,
Let's
I'm
grab Mike then. I like Big Mike a
pretty even
lot.
with two of them. I
Getting
like
exposure to, like, he could flip Keenan Allen this year and be the number one.
sure.
He's obviously a guy we like on half point PPR a little bit more than
Right.
full point PPR with the touchdown equity. For my portfolio, it's hard because I have a ton of Mike Williams when he was a 5th, 6th round pick.
Sure. So you're hesitant to grab him now.
Well, I've talked about this a lot, but I think you can tastefully take risers, but you need to be doing it strategically to make sure that you can still compete with the teams that have them from before,
Sure.
such as taking players that have now fallen. But if you're taking like only risers, maybe you're drawing thin against those super teams. Obviously, it depends on the volume of drafts that have been done. But Tyreek Hill, JT, Mike Williams, pretty good. Like in some ways, it feels wrong to be grabbing Mike Williams here because it's like right after AJ Brown. It's
Yeah,
right after.
I was really hoping AJ Brown was going to fall to me, but
Well, he had a great camp practice today, so people are going to be.
yeah, get ready for all the camp hype. It's that season.
Oh yes. That's this is a great question from James. Who do you think is going to be the most overhyped camp guy this year? The Callaway Award, if you will. James, I think it will. You need to wait until a preseason game, and whoever does get like, if someone, because remember what happened with Callaway, his players got injured, and then he had like 2 touchdowns in a preseason game. And then he went from like a 18th round pick to like a 4th round, being like a 6th round pick.
I think it could be from one of these like ambiguous wide receiver rooms, the Chiefs or the Packers, whoever shine early on in camp and put up some highlight plays or maybe a big preseason game, like you said. I feel like their ADP could just moon because people are going to see, they're going to be seeing stars. They're going to be saying, hey, this guy's going to get Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill, target share. Whereas I really think it's going to still end up a more even pie, than people are going to want it to be. So whoever gets the most hype out of those rooms, while it will be tempting, my gut just says it might not be correct. Whatever the camp hype is there. So,
yeah, I mean, this year is unique where there's a lot of high valued offenses with uncertainty at them. So someone's going to emerge from Green Bay. The Chiefs may have a clear pecking order, or it might just be everyone is like an equal slice. The Broncos, like there's going to be separation there. And I don't know. It's wild how many drafts have been done at this point in the offseason compared to years past. Like, and they call it the barbell approach, where you do a lot of drafts early to get the unique ADPs, you do a lot late to get the fish crowd. I don't think there's going to be necessarily a fish crowd coming into Underdog. They are doing commercials, but I just don't know how, I just don't see some uninformed person finding Underdog Fantasy and like fishing it up with Brian Hoyer in the first.
Right, I agree. Yeah, I've noticed even just amongst my friends that are a little bit more casual players, they're diving in, head first this year. They're actually consuming content and trying to think of strategy. And they're not just logging in and drafting. They're thinking about it in a whole different light as well. So I just think the whole space is gaining popularity. It's kind of like DFS, whereas 5 years ago it was a different game than it is now.
Oh yeah. And I've had some people in the poker industry. I actually booked the WSOP Player of the Year, Dan Zach. He's going to be coming on next week. And I think it's really interesting to talk to professional poker players in relation to best ball because, 10, 20 years ago, poker was a different game than what it is today. And I think when we look back, best ball, we've not had solvers attack this. We've not had, artificial intelligence yet. In some ways, I think that won't happen because there's not that much money compared to other gambling ventures. In other ways, I think it's like a no-brainer for them to pivot to there. All right, we're coming up on the clock here. We got some falling dudes. We'll see who Hochberg takes. I like Breece Hall. I like Allen Robinson.
I hate Robinson this year, and I've got so much Breece Hall exposure. So I love Breece. So all
right, let's grab Breece.
Yeah, I personally don't understand why Breece Hall and like Travis Etienne are not. People are taking Etienne so much higher. They're a little closer in this draft, but in a lot of them, I feel like, especially on DraftKings, they're 15 picks apart. Whereas I could easily see Breece outperforming guys like that. So
it doesn't really make sense to me either. Earlier, I agreed with you. Like once they why is Breece going so much after? Like I'm never clicking Zeke over Breece or something like that. And I want to have more Breece. It's kind of hard though because in this round is where you get your last exposure to elite wide receivers. Do you want to grab someone like Kittle?
Yeah, Kittle's usually my kind of auto pick in the fifth. If I don't, I kind of view him. I am high on, I'd like Dalton Schultz, but I like grabbing the last of an elite tight end in this tier. So I'm cool with Kittle.
Yeah, I like Schultz a lot too. Fifth round Kittle is just like, all right, give me that. So fun team, balanced start by us with us having 2 elite running backs. It means that we probably are going to start hitting wide receiver again for a couple rounds. Like we have 1 elite tight end. I would say we're going to do with Kittle just because he is so boom bust. I sometimes do 3 tight end. I'm happy to stop at 2 though if I like who I pair him with. How about a site like Drafters? Have you been in the Drafter street where it's season long points only, no playoff week?
I haven't. I've only done Underdog and DraftKings. So maybe I'm transitioning. I'm trying to learn a little bit more. Maybe next year is the Drafters year 3 out of third place. But no, I've just been Underdog DraftKings so far.
Are you planning to max the DK 555?
I'm planning to max every single DraftKings best ball tournament.
If we can get the 2K to fill, that is.
Right. It's slow. Yeah, there's nobody in there right now.
I mean, are you maxing the like $3 20 max and stuff like that? Or are you
everything? Yeah,
everything? Hey,
I'm trying to have when I click best ball NFL, I want nothing to pop up because
I want infinite ping pong balls once that season starts.
I want to have some fun week 17. Hopefully, I'll be sad if I get nothing there, but we're gonna try.
Listeners of my channel will know this story, but to fill you in, week 17 last year, I was on my best friend's bachelor party, who is my cousin. So that was pretty sweet. We got to sweat the games together. You know, kind of one-upped him a little bit on his bachelor party, mistakenly taking down the Millie, but nothing like that, man. Sweating the games with your boys from home.
For sure.
We got a good question here. Who is this year's Cooper Kupp? I think Judy or Pittman fit that. I would say Cooper Kupp does not necessarily exist, right? Like, it's not keep in mind that the market has to just be wrong about the value of the wide receivers, which I wouldn't say is an assumption.
Kupp was going, what, 4 or 5 turn last year? Is that kind of
at points in the season, he was going 5th, 6th. I definitely had some 6th round Kupp. If that player exists, who do you think it is?
I mean,
I think there's a lot of guys who fit the bill, but let's just say one name each year. You go first.
So if I'm just looking at it from week 17 standpoint, I love Godwin again.
Not week 17. You got to think about
for the whole season.
Yeah.
For the whole season.
I love Godwin too, though.
You're right. I mean, I've got a ton of AJ Brown. I could see Terry McLaurin doing it. I've got a lot of Terry McLaurin, whereas I didn't love him at all last year. But if you follow the money, they have a change at quarterback. I'm not saying Carson Wentz is great, but he did put up, he did help, Michael Pittman and put up some points last year in Indy. I could see Terry McLaurin making that leap to where, he's a, 3rd round type guy where he could be in that late 2nd conversation next year. Again, I don't think he's going to be a Cooper Kupp style, but I'm personally not that big on the Broncos.
I like Terry's talent a lot. I think that he has a lot more target competition than Pittman did, and Wentz obviously is not Matthew Stafford. I think a guy like Juju is a really logical 1-to-1 where it's like young player, good with a now huge quarterback upgrade. Obviously, I like other pieces on the Chiefs, so that kind of hurts Juju a little bit. And
Team MVS over Juju, not trying to get sniped.
Team MVS. Hey, I like MVS, man. I'm with that as well. But someone else is saying Juju. I don't know. But keep in mind they have to be cheap enough, so they have to kind of fall in this range. Like, I think Allen Robinson could have a really good year with. Again, Matthew Stafford is just a wide receiver producer. All right, we are on the clock here.
I'm not.
I like Devonta Smith. He's like the last young.
So I want to go D-Hop here personally.
I was gonna say Smith and then D-Hop, but I'm cool with grabbing.
Yeah, I'd rather get D-Hop here, and I'll explain why here in a minute when we're on the clock again.
All right, we hit Hopkins. I like Hopkins. I like obviously pieces of the Cardinals. It's not, obviously he got hit with the PEDs, which I usually am okay with because, look, I want all else equal. I want my players on HGH or whatever. But he was slowing down a little bit. The Cardinals run such weird routes. Like, they only let him run on the left side of the field. If you look at the weird Cardinals spread offense, but he had a ton of touchdowns last year. Maybe taking the first 6 weeks off will be good for him.
And I kind of, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I like taking a few of these guys that are suspended or injured to start the year just to try to get kind of the optimal the playoff weeks later.
Yeah, and we should be assuming we're absorbing a lot of points with our first 5 picks, where we have the type of team that can qualify a Hopkins to the playoffs. Right. Let's see what happens here. Yeah. Gage is falling a bit with the news.
Trey Lance all day. That's why I want to next. Since we have the Kittle stack, if Kittle's going to go off week 17, I think that means, I think they're playing the Raiders, right? And I could see that being a high-scoring affair. The Raiders have a trash defense. I know they added Chandler Jones, but if Kittle's going to be good, Trey Lance with some rushing yards, will be good as well that week. So I like. Yeah,
and Trey Lance should probably be going next to Hurts and like he should be going in this range. Once the casual crowd sees it, like I don't have questions about his ability. But really fun start we have where we have an elite quarterback, we have an elite tight end, we got 3 elite wide receivers. Obviously, one's taken zeros for the first 6 weeks, and we have 2 elite running backs. And with a team like this, I usually try to push running backs, maybe get one more guy in the 10th round, 9th round, because there's some like that's like the end of like league winner type territory for me. And then just hammer the wide receiver position, add a
Certainly,
couple more tight ends,
for sure.
pushed our quarterback too a little bit, but we got some flexibility. I like the squad.
Yeah, I like it so far.
Again, guys, if you are liking this content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, how about you? Who are some of the players in the top rounds you're not in on?
Like I said, I'm not in on Devontae this year personally, just because I like guys like Lamb over him this year. I think he's got a higher ceiling. I'm really curious to see how the Adams, Renfro, and Waller target share gets divided up. Just because Carr isn't a 40 touchdown guy. He's historically been in the mid 20s. So I just don't know if there's enough to go around there. So I don't have much of him at all, to be honest with you. And like I said, for some reason, I'm just not grabbing much Kelsey this year, even though
I'm not grabbing Mixon a lot. I have almost no.
Yeah, I'm not grabbing much Mixon either.
The reason for me is like I don't view Mixon differently than these running backs at all, but the market's just decided he goes here, and I try to grab wide receiver usually over a guy like Mixon in this range.
For sure, I like Lamb over Mixon there as well. So not getting much of him, but who are your like highest exposure kind of late round? I guess we can talk about it after the late round.
Well, I'm a Bills fan, so I got a lot of Bills pieces, but I got a lot of Michael Thomas. Last year I was out on him. This year I just decided, players that burn a lot of people last year, I also like to try to buy the dip on. I'm just in on the Saints passing game being good this year. NFC is not that good. I got it's kind of hard too with player exposures, especially when you're talking about like one site when you play on a lot of different sites. And I also, like I had a lot of Russell Gage when he was like a 9th, 10th round guy. I don't have a lot of Gage when he was a 6th round pick.
Yeah, see, I have literally zero Gage. I'm really high on Godwin again with my injury dip type.
I'm in on Godwin too, but like let's not forget the Bucs supported AB, Gronk, Evans, and Godwin. That's 4 pass catchers. We shouldn't expect their tight end room to be that exciting right now unless Gronk returns.
Michael Thomas, I'm one of the ones that got burned from him last year, so I have a sour taste in my mouth. I drafted Michael Thomas and Henry Ruggs everywhere last year, and then the news came in the same day. I remember the day vividly.
You got to predict when your wideout's gonna get overserved at Topgolf, and
literally the same week, Michael Thomas, when the news came out that he was done for the year, plus the Henry Ruggs incident that happened that same week, and I was like, all my teams are just obliterated for the most part. So
I can tell that the news is already really impacting these drafts. Godwin is rising with the news that he's not on the pup. Gage is falling because of that. Burks is rising. Michael Thomas is rising with the recent positive blurb, like literally one blurb about both of them.
It's pretty crazy. Oh yeah, it's that time of year though.
Yeah. How about something like the FFPC main event? Have you been in those season long? It's like a 2K buy and 1 mil to first.
No, I haven't.
That's a manage, so something to check out too. Pretty fun to get 1 or 2 of those down. I mean, I think we got to grab your guy, right?
I have so much MVS. I do like Chase Edmonds here, but since we have 2 stud running backs and we have D Hop who's going to get a 0, I like getting at least 1 Chief, and I'm MVS for his.
Let's grab MVS, and again, amateur move, shouting out the running back you need.
Maybe
Chaco.
Maybe, yeah.
The thing is, these guys both need running backs. Is the one thing about grabbing him, but there's some like I like Edmonds too, but like I also like Ramadre. I like Singletary. I like Hunt. I like James Cook. So the consolation prize if we don't get Edmonds is pretty nice.
Maybe those 2 aren't listening either.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know. How about your guy Sky Moore? Are you inherently down on him?
So I think Sky Moore and Juju are going to eat into each other's role a little bit over the course of the year. So that's why I actually get myself a ton of MVS, and I don't mind Hardman late.
Well,
Everyone's
isn't Hardman going to eat into the MVS stuff?
potentially, but I just feel like they're not done with Hardman yet. So I've been getting more Hardman than
Edmonds goes.
You
Do
might
you
not
want
like
to
who I want. I want Lockett. I know he's got a terrible offense, but I have been getting a ton of either.
correlates with Hall? I
Yeah.
would rather grab Sky Moore over him, but I'm a big Dawson Knox guy. I'm being done at tight end there too.
Yeah.
Tight end on the
I like
Bills.
a couple tight ends later, so my pick
Alright.
would be Lockett. Obviously, do what you want, but
We're grabbing Lockett. We're gonna get this. Oh no. Okay, we got him. I don't know what happened there. Glitched for a second. All right, we got Lockett. Yeah, so the Lockett thing is again, like it's just with wide receivers. If the touchdowns are not going to be there for half point PPR, it's hard for me to see it. Now, on one case, the market still is in on DK and down on Lockett.
right.
They could get Jimmy G. That could be a little bit better, but like, man, I just don't see a Seahawks pass catcher burying me week 17, even with them playing the Jets.
Lockett just wasn't that bad last year, and their offense wasn't good then. I mean, Russell Wilson was not himself last year.
He wasn't himself, but he still had like 20-something touchdown, like something that would be like Drew Lock's like miracle.
Drew Lock is terrible. I hope they get Jimmy G or something changes there. But for some reason, I don't know.
Boo. Sets you up for a jet stack. Boo. This is the winner of the DK Millie Maker last year. Shout out Felix.
Oh, it is.
For best ball.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, Lockett just has that spot in my heart. So we'll see.
Yeah, man. Like, there's a lot of other people that like him as well. Like, I don't know. Like, I like Robert Woods over Lockett. I like Sky Moore over Lockett. I like Dawson Knox over Lockett. I like some of these running backs over Lockett with our team contexture. But look, he's been great in the past. He's not that old. He's like the Diggs age. And it does, again, like the Jets and the Seahawks should have bad defenses. So getting
that could be a weird, 35-28 type ball game at the end of the year when both teams have nothing to play.
Man, I mean, I had a Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Lions and Rashad Penny for the Seahawks. And that game stack is why I won BBM too.
There's a world where Breece Hall is Penny and Lockett is Amon-Ra. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, I mean, Breece Hall could be like his closest archetype is Jonathan Taylor, and he's, he could smash.
Yep.
And the Jets' whole playoff schedule is very good, not just week 17.
Is it? Yeah.
The Seahawks, I kind of forget. I think they just have a good week 17, and they have like a rough other weeks. But maybe I'm mixing it up with like the Jaguars or something.
Lockett may be terrible, but we'll see.
Hey, I mean, look, obviously an elite talent is just like, it's the same reason why like early in the offseason I was taking like Mike Williams over DJ Moore because I didn't see the touchdown upside for a guy, okay,
like that. Yeah.
Attached to Herbert, count me in, right. But really fun team we built, super high upside bunch.
Yeah, our receivers have, Hopkins aside kind of, but our receivers are very boom busts, big play type guys. So maybe they can, supplement each other. Running back
feel pretty really
soft.
Nice to lock in Hall and Taylor as our two running back. Let's see if we get to some of these questions.
Yeah.
Blaine says, interesting point about volume of drafts. With BBM only 30% full, clear majority of teams will never have access to ADP values. How does that affect game theory? I don't know, Blaine. That's a bit long of a question for me to like answer. Like there's a lot to say about that, but it seems like you're thinking through it as well. Unless you have any thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean that's a long question to answer when I'm on the clock here in a minute. So.
Yeah. So this is the Seahawks are the ones who have the rough. They get the Chiefs and the Seahawks play week 16. Mm-hmm. I don't focus on week 16 correlation.
Yeah.
Have you been doing that?
No, mainly just 17. If I notice there's a team that has a solid playoff run, I'll put that in the back of my mind and use that as a tiebreaker, but I'm not necessarily trying to grab guys like that. So let's see, we're here 2 picks.
We're in 2 picks. There's plenty of players I like left on the clock at multiple position groups.
Yeah, this is an interesting part of the draft here.
Um,
So, all right, we could try to grab. We could try to go quarterback 2 and then get him some cheap stacks later.
I like pushing that. Like Madison and Spiller, I like Moore. I like Watson. I like Irv Smith.
I'm out on Rondell Moore. I don't really want him. So I would say either go quarterback or Madison.
All right, we'll grab Madison here, and we'll see who makes it back to us. Because these guys need running backs, so it's good to grab.
For sure. Madison, I like here just because he's a high upside guy. With Taylor and Hall, we're not really looking for just some complimentary piece that's going to give us a floor. We want we want a guy that if Dalvin goes down, all of a sudden we've got a 3-headed monster there. So I like that strategy with the
local beat reporter Tanner Tolbert. How do you feel about Ronald Jones versus CEH versus Jerick McKinnon?
I mean, I'm getting a lot of CEH. I don't see a world where Ronald Jones is getting enough to matter. I think he could be a thorn in the side to a CEH or a committee type deal, but from what I'm picking up in my my Chiefs follows, I don't see a world where Ronald Jones is going to be some sort of best ball winner for you. I really don't. I think if he's as involved as we think he might.
Let's get to that real quick because we're back on the clock here. We got 30 seconds here. Spiller, we could be done at running back if we grab him.
I'm not big on Spiller, so I would say I like Irv Smith, I like Cole Kmet, and I also like Rodgers and Fields. I kind of want to get one of our onesie positions a stronger 2. So I don't know if you have a preference there.
I would rather grab be done at tight end with Irv than grab Rodgers. Even though
I'm kind of cool with whatever you want to do there out of those.
I mean, yes, I want to scoop the value on Rodgers, and there's plenty of late stacks, and he correlates with Madison a little bit, but if Kittle is more boom bust, like maybe Irv Smith, right before this, I think it said that he got the Hulk tattooed on his hand so that he can quote unquote smash this year. That's the type of crazy person I want on my team.
Yeah,
that's unhinged.
Tattoo boost, yeah.
Yeah. So you're down on Ronald Jones. I'm higher than you on Ronald Jones. I think he's just a very good pure runner, and I think Andy Reid is better suited to unlock his upside than I just think Brady is such a weird, quirky guy that if you don't do exactly what he wants, how he wants, or you're going to get in his doghouse. Where I think Andy Reid is better suited to make it happen with him. There was the weird news with CEH having gallbladder surgery and losing 50 pounds that no one heard about last year. I'm not I think it's most likely that CH is not that good. I got a lot of McKinnon. I think he was good in the playoffs, still showed it with his pass catching. So it's hard. I'm inclined to take the cheaper guys, but I want exposure to all.
We're on different pages of the Chiefs. I'm all about MVS and CEH. I'm the hyphens, team hyphen.
Hey, I like MVS. Don't put me against his. I mean, MVS is a guy I always have a lot of in best ball because historically when he's attached to Rodgers, he's always been a 16th, 17th, 18th round guy. He's a guy I usually have 40% of going into the year.
Yeah, I just find it interesting that they paid him the most. I like to follow the money out with some of these teams, and even if the player might not be as good as the money was, I feel like the team's going to try to force them to get target share, force them to see the field a lot, things like that. So that's why I don't mind taking a guy like Tyreek there, because I feel like Mike McDaniel is going to. They gave up so much, and it was his first big splash move. He's going to get him involved a ton. You know what I mean? I just feel like the narrative behind the move will be enough to.
That stuff is important to coaches, 100%. It's why I could see Pete Carroll being look, I traded Noah Fant for Russell Wilson. I need to make sure he is featured.
Right.
Julio Jones going in the 11th now. I'm not doing that with his recent signing to the Bucks. Are you?
No.
Did you have Julio from earlier?
Yeah, I've been drafting Julio about a 20% clip in the late rounds.
So that's pretty high. I'm nowhere close to there. I got some, but
I've got a pretty high number of them. But I probably won't draft him again. Since I've got that much of them already, I probably won't touch them anymore. I'm happy with them where I had them, but I'm not looking to buy high necessarily, especially with the news, that Godwin is maybe healthy. healthier than expected. I just don't see a world where Julio is necessarily going to be that game winner type guy for me. So.
Yeah, like he's not the same body type as an Antonio Brown. Like players of his stature tend to actually break down as they get like, yeah, Antonio Brown's still doing it. He's a small, shifty dude. Julio's a big, powerful, fast guy, but it's just harder for him to stay.
And he could score some touchdowns, but I'm just not sure it's going to be consistent enough.
Yeah,
that price tag for the 11th round, there's still some
no, it's just too expensive to me to be doing that. Like, and when I don't have a bunch from earlier, like I'm not gonna give free leverage to the teams drafted already on me.
Right.
You know,
if he's good, yeah, the teams.
If he's good, yeah,
if he's good, the teams that drafted him in round 16, 17, whatever that may be, are gonna smoke you.
Yeah. If yeah, I mean it's a little bit more nuanced because like if an 11th round pick, like it's really like 11th round pick plus Julio versus Julio and 18th round, like the 2v2 there. But the point stands. Like that cost got too prohibitive to me, where I do feel like 11th, 12th round picks are noticeably different than later round picks. Not everyone does, but I think that is a cutoff.
I like Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet just went off. I just wanted to shout out. I think he's kind of one of my.
I had so much Cole Kmet last year. I just don't see the touchdowns for half point PPR to bury me. I also man, Justin Fields hard evaluation. I tend to try to give him a break with how bad his coaches were. We're coming up to where we could grab Tua to get a Tyreek stack, or we could grab Devontae Parker to correlate for week 17. I think Tua should make it back to us.
Yeah, so they have one quarterback there. I was going to say either before Dotson went, I was going to say Dotson or Parker and try to grab Tua on the way back, but we're on the same page, either Tua or Parker. I don't care, whatever.
Let's grab Parker. I'm very okay if someone grabs the quarterback on us. The quarterback's the least important part of the stack. Parker, to me, I mean, he had really good camp buzz today, so that could just jump him up. Yeah. And a bit of a unique week 17 stack. I don't think people are stacking up Miami, New England. Yeah. And again, Parker was traded for.
Right, follow the team's moves. They follow the money, follow the trades. It's not like the other receivers in that room are stacked by. There he went Lawrence over Tua for us. Thank you, buddy.
Well, yeah, and I mean I think he did that because he has Christian Kirk, so it makes sense that he did that. And if someone wants to just take a naked Tua, God bless them. Or if they're trying to target Cedric Wilson, but we're getting a falling Tua here. That's nice. I think he's mispriced as is, these mid-range quarterbacks compared to the elite guys, but
he could have a few spike weeks. There's a
absolutely
three game stretch last year. Remember, he was top few quarterbacks that week. So, with the addition of Tyreek, maybe that stack can be a little. We have a weird stack. Coming into this, I didn't plan to do a New England Dolphins stack or a Seattle Jets stack. But we got a couple.
Yeah, but I mean, those. That's what's going to take to get unique somewhat. And if we're going to be taking Tyreek, those are the drafts I want to be having Tua in. I'm not trying to do Tua and Cedric Wilson or.
Yeah,
I mean, Mike Gesicki, I always he was on my winning team.
So yeah, you got a sweet spot. See, I'm out on this year. I think.
I mean, when players win you $1 million, it's hard to go broke on them lifetime. So just keep on buying in until they retire.
I'm guilty of that, man. I've been playing the golfers. I'm probably too attached for life on some of those golfers now. So I feel you.
This has been fun, man. I would say you are not afraid to hashtag think differently. You definitely have some different player takes than me, it's fun to talk this out because no one has the skeleton keys here. I'll be the first to say, just because I ran BBM2, it does not mean I'm infallible in my process.
I mean, your process obviously worked, but it sometimes just takes a little luck. So who knows?
Fire enough bullets and be a degenerate. That was the process. It ran here. Fellow degenerates, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Help us out, guys.
What are your highest? So, do you have any guys that you have 40, 50% of? Anything like that?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. You don't
Not
need
trying to
to
share
play,
all of them, mainly
right?
because of the main of like on stream, mainly because the main events are 2K buy-in, and
I
so
was
only
more curious about the number, if your exposures reached that high, or if you were trying to be more even keeled, more from a, you
it
know,
really it's a little diluted with BBM3 too because I've done so many streams, so it's not pure
like,
me at
okay,
this part.
sure,
But I think I have a couple guys over 40%, and then I have plenty of players in the
30s,
20% range.
yeah,
And like just thinking about it logically, like how I typically try to do it is I'm more willing at wide receiver to be over the field because it's more of a talent position where you can like more confidently say this guy is good and this guy is not to me. Whereas
yeah,
like running back, you're depending on usage, so you want to spread that out. If a backup gets injured, if a starter gets injured, like I want shots on goal. Tight end is also a high variance position. Quarterback, again, a more skill position. Like I'm more confident saying this guy's good, this guy's bad, like who I want to have exposure to
for sure.
um, there.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. All right, we're up again here. Who do we?
It's kind of gross.
Hey, I love this spot of the draft.
Do you want to grab Jamal Williams? Are you a Gus Edwards guy?
Gus
Marvin,
Edwards, I
Alec
would
Pierce?
say I would say Jamal, or I kind of like Marlon Mack just in case he's the guy. I also like Njoku, but we don't really need a third tight end now.
I would grab a third tight end. You want to grab
If you
Njoku?
want to, I think Njoku at least has some upside.
Let's do it. It's again, like tight end is so high variance where ultimately what's going to be good for this contest is who scores touchdowns week 17. So like if Njoku puts in 2 touchdowns week 17 and does nothing else,
Yeah,
like that's great. Because like for example, I had a 3% owned Noah Fant. He scored a touchdown. It allowed me to separate from the 50% who had Mark Andrews.
right.
And so with us having 3 tight ends, I would say we're targeting at least one more running back, but maybe 2.
Yeah,
And then we'll dump the rest into wide receiver.
yeah.
Um,
You cool, Dean, being done at quarterback then? Or I mean,
I'm very cool being done at quarterback. Like we could grab Mac, but with us having Lance,
yeah,
I would.
instead of Mac, I would almost say take the plunge on Deshaun since we have.
Oh man, Villain Week is alive and well.
Yeah, but
But
I don't. We don't need to do that by any means. I'm fine
I
taking
don't think
either.
we should because after Jamal, it's a mini tier break for me. And
You're out on Marlon Mack this year. I don't think that team's going to be good. There's just a world where he's the starter. Jamal obviously has more Week 17 upside, so I'd probably take,
it's just like
in
if
case
I like even when the Colts had really good O lines and the team was okay, like Marlon Mack's advanced stats were like I remember him being like one of the worst guys at like
well,
getting what he should have gotten.
yeah.
And no, I'm not a Marlon Mack guy. I'm
If
a
Marlon
KC.
Mack's going to be good, the only times I take Marlon Mack really are the times I've got like Kamara. In case Kamara's gone those first few weeks of the year, I feel like Mack could have a 3-4 weeks at the beginning of the year where he's okay.
You're
But
not worried about Damian Pierce being the guy, or
second
like it
half,
could be Rex Burkhead even. Like so,
yeah,
that's like the
second half of year, I definitely think so. I think Pierce will take over towards the second half of the year. That's why I really only take Mack when I have Kamara if I want like a early season buoy, But
I mean, if you're only viewing Mac as a early season guy, that's not a guy I want at all on a
right,
BBM3,
on a
right?
big
Like,
contest like this, yeah,
and like just thinking through it, like Jamal Williams is competing with one other running back. Marlon Mack is competing with 2 other running backs. I think the Lions are going to have a much better offense. And
Williams catch the ball too.
yeah, and Williams is a hashtag good
He's good.
guy.
Yeah,
If you've ever seen his press conferences, he's hilarious.
yeah, he's good. And if Swift go, we have 2 high upside guys
Yeah.
with
I mean,
Madison.
we have Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Swift, like guys who go in the first, second round. They're
Guys who are injured fairly often too. So if either of them goes down, they could be 20-point guys. Yeah.
so yeah, fun looking squad. Yeah, I mean, I would almost never go 3 quarterback when you have an elite guy on with underdog being 18 rounds. The reason being is like
True.
even if Deshaun like is Deshaun and gets a minimum suspension, like he's not separating that much from the field. Like how many points is he adding to our roster versus Trey Lance is just like not that much, whereas like a skill position player can always really separate from the field.
Yeah, I like that.
So really fun tight end group, fun wide receiver group. we technically only have 5 wide receivers to start the year, so we're going to start hitting wide receiver. Are you comfortable stopping at 4 running backs, or there's some?
I am. I mean, we've taken our shots on a couple, handcuffed up guys. I mean, if we want to take another shot, we can. But I feel pretty good with Taylor and Brees getting it done for us. More, we're drafting to be as if we're right. So
Yes,
if
absolutely.
we took Taylor and Brees, so I mean,
Are you not a McKinnon guy at all?
I'm not really. I mean, I think the only way he's good is if Clyde really gets hurt, and then it still could be a
So
time.
what about what was happening in the playoffs last year? Because CH was healthy for that. Like, why was McKinnon getting the run? Was that more to deal with like the too high zone?
Yeah,
Like,
I truthfully just think that the team wants to be right on CEH this year. Everything that I've read between the lines is that Veach stuck his neck out. I mean, he took him before Jonathan Taylor, and he was dealing with some,
that
injuries.
was hashtag dumb.
Yes, it was. We took Hardman over Metcalf.
Yep.
And then
Well, and apparently it was Mahomes' fault. Mahomes called him and said, "Hey, I want CEH."
Right.
Like, hey, newsflash, maybe you shouldn't be playing armchair GM when you watch like not that much college tape.
To me, to McKinnon, I'm just reading the moves of the team. I think they're high on CEH, and then they went out and signed Jones. McKinnon seemed more like an afterthought when Darrell Williams didn't report back. They just kind of threw him a late free agency ad. There wasn't much priority there, so that I'm reading the tea leaves there, and I'm personally not getting. I haven't gotten any McKinnon, but
what about a guy like Brian Robinson? Like, he's a guy I have quite a bit of. Running back is always a position I can sell myself. Like Dearness Johnson was good last year.
So if I were just drafting by myself,
well, let's skip on running back and hit wide receiver. There's a couple guys I like here. I just want to check real quick. McKenzie is getting steamed. I
personally want Sammy first. If I were drafting, I think
let's do it then. I would also I like Curtis Samuel. I like Hamler. Kendrick Bourne kind of fits our Miami stack, but let's grab Sammy. It fits our Minnesota correlation. Sammy Watkins, the next Bill. Really he's falling because I think he's going to continue to fall because he's on the NFI list or whatever.
Right.
And like it's inevitable that like Romeo Dubs is going to get a little buzz. Randall Cobb's going to get a little buzz. Whoever is out there on the field is going to get some buzz. Maybe they sign Will Fuller. I don't know how you feel about Will Fuller, but
like I said, I buy every dip. That's why I had so much Julio. I have just as much Will Fuller. So
fellow Will Fuller stan, we love to hear it. All right, so we're gonna get one of the dudes I like. Let's see. KJ Hamler expected to play week 1. That's pretty good news. I think he's drawing live to surprise. We do have some Chiefs pieces, so it's nice to get Denver bringbacks. He got taken. I like Curtis Samuel. I like Zay Jones.
What are the running backs here? Just a quick glance, just to make sure. Yeah, I mean, you could take a flyer on Robinson. I don't mind Chris Evans. Those are the only 2 running backs I would take.
Well, let's skip running back. Who do you like between Samuel and Zay Jones?
You pick, man.
I'm going to take Curtis Samuel.
I don't have much of either, so you go for whoever your gut is.
I had a lot of Curtis Samuel last year. I have quite a bit again this year. He had 180 points 2 years ago. He's healthy finally.
Right.
He was Deebo Samuel before Deebo Samuel.
He definitely could be good.
And if you're gonna have a big Terry bag, I think it makes sense to have some Samuel, some Dotson. Zay Jones is running as like the X in Jacksonville. It's kind of a bet against like Marvin Jones getting older.
Is LaVisca dead there? Are they not doing anything?
I don't know. Today there was a little blurred that he got like a handoff, but man, he's just like not that athletic. And like there was literally no one to compete with targets, and he just couldn't do it last year once DJ Chark went down.
Right.
He's probably not dead. Like with the improved coaching staff, maybe there's a resurgence, but I don't know, man. I was out on LaVisca last year at his cost, and I'm not.
I'm just not grabbing much. I actually like Christian Kirk sometimes when he falls.
I like Kirk a lot.
Yeah, I think people are overlooking him, but I really have none of the Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, LaVisca camp. So I just haven't been grabbing them at this point of the draft.
Yeah, I mean it's tough though at wide receiver. Like I mean, I used to like Isaiah McKenzie. He's even getting steam now. Like I used to like Paris Campbell.
McKenzie was like my last the first month when this first came out. He was my auto pick in the last round or two.
Yeah, Nico Collins used to go in this range. So I would say running back or wide receiver is fine for our team. Like we have enough upside at both that it doesn't really matter.
Not a positional need per se. The guys.
What about Odell? How do you feel about Odell?
I've got a lot of them because I at this point in the draft, if I think my receivers are strong enough to get me through the season, I don't. If he comes back week 13, 14,
yeah, who cares?
Then great. He gives me a shot in the arm of a guy that could, put up 100 yards and a touchdown and get me through. So I've probably gotten an abnormal amount of Julio, Will Fuller, and Odell, just hoping that those dominoes fall.
Is your lean that Odell signs back with the Rams? That's my guess.
Yeah, if I had to pick, that's where I would go.
Yeah. I would say there's some other wide receivers. I'm not going to pull the amateur move and hype them up. There's one or two other guys I like. Wow, Anton Wesley. That's getting different at the end.
Yeah, you don't see that much. Who are some guys? So, obviously, this is an 18 rounder. But who are some guys that we're not going to consider here? But say in DraftKings in round 20, I guess you don't need to say if you're
like. Are you talking about guys just to get different from the field?
Yeah. So I personally have got like Velus Jones a lot. I'm not drafting him on underdog really, but like in round 20.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like Quez Watkins just went. He's a guy I have a ton of. He got some buzz today, so that's why he went. And part of the whole thesis with a guy like Quez Watkins is if he's not being drafted, that's great, right? So like Saquon Thornton, Felix Jones, Romeo Doubs, Khalil Shakir is a really high upside guy who really low floor. I like James Washington. I like Odell here. Cedric Wilson correlates had a good year.
Wilson, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of
it gets like I have some Marcus Callaway still, just like trying to like not abandon my prior so hard. I have like a little bit of like Danny Gray.
I don't have much once we get down on this part, but
Danny Gray is I have a little smidge of. He's a 3rd round pick for the Niners. Could be a deep threat. Correlates to Trey Lance. Like you can get like Nelson Aguilar. People like last year. Now he's left for dead. Quintus, like the point is, if we can get a guy that the field's not drafting to the playoffs, or more importantly to week 17, like that's everything. Just having that leverage on the field.
For sure, that's the only reason I asked. Just sometimes it's worth to Braxton Berrios, they say.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of the players we just mentioned went Shakir, James Washington. That's to be expected. I like Odell. I like Cedric. I like Dubs. I like.
I would do one of those top. Either go Odell for the playoff run upside, or if you want to get weird with the Tua stack, and I'm fine with either of those two.
Let's grab Cedric then. I think.
Yeah, I'm cool with either of them. So.
Like if people like. If he had signed somewhere else, I think he would be quite expensive. I have almost none Cedric Wilson too. So the very rare drafts where I take Tua,
right?
I think
that's the only time I've taken him too is when I already have Tua, and hope that something.
Yeah, the reason why I don't have Tua is like he's well below a guy like Rodgers, Cousins, Carr to me, and he's not that different than a Daniel Jones, Tannehill.
Yeah. Daniel Jones is my biggest exposure quarterbacks.
Oh, people love them some D Jones. I think Haskins is a good last pick too. The Titan backups. Let's name this draft so I can remember who to split the 2 mil with when we take it down. If you were in the draft with us, let us know. Tanner, how do you overall feel about this squad?
I feel pretty good. I'm a big fan of the running backs we got. I'm obviously JT is JT, but I'm a big Breece Hall guy this year. So rounding out the our starters with that, and I like the upside of the Lance to Kittle stack. And I feel pretty good about receivers. I they may not be a consistent bunch, but I think when you look at the group as a whole, I think a few of them are going to hit quite often. Bought the suspension dip on D.
Yeah, and we also We got unique from the field in our roster construction too, I would say, because we went hyper fragile with our running back build, but our running back 3 and our running back 4 are pretty late. So most people that go hyper fragile are taking their 3rd and 4th running back
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah,
So we're really counting to like absorb these points for regular season purposes.
right.
Um, we got an elite quarterback and a quarterback who could like who's fun and could do well. I like our wide receivers quite a bit.
Yeah,
Like, you know, like you have to squint for some of these guys to see
yeah, but
the
the guys
scenario.
like Devontae Parker or Sammy Watkins, if he does run with the ones, I mean, they provide you a solid floor for the weeks that maybe a Lockett or MBS or even
Yeah, and that's why, like, a guy like, Dubs, I would have paired with Watkins because you're taking 2 shots at an uncertain situation where it's like, yeah, maybe if we had taken Rodgers instead, like you wanted to, that would have made even more sense where we're just, like, have a couple extra shots on goal, but, hey, man, this was really fun. Tell the people, where they can find you. I don't know. I don't think you make content or anything, but just
I
let
mean,
people know.
for the DFS sports crowd, I'm a pretty boring follow. We do most of our stuff on Instagram with babies and family content. So I don't know if you want to follow me, but if you're into that kind of thing, you can find me at Tanner.Tolbert on Instagram or TTolbert05 on Twitter. But yeah, I'll tweet some sports stuff here and there, but I'm not really too knee deep into that. I'm more in the sponsored baby post stuff. So
Hey man, that sounds like a
follow us
lucrative
around, Chris.
business. I'm trying to segue into that. You're
Yeah,
gonna be the guy I hit up once I'm in those
yeah,
streets.
if you follow me, you'll probably unfollow about a week or two later. So I don't blame
My Instagram name is Murph_Daddy, so I'm not sure if that's a welcomed follow on the family friendly channels. But
you.
guys, this was a lot of fun. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell your families you love them, and most importantly, have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow with some more streams.